The doors of the refugee center are robust, made of sturdy layers of harvested timber bound together by a welded scrap metal frame. It took more effort than expected for Liaison Till to push through just one of the doors. Stepping inside, he swatted the clouds of dust haunting him from the passing sandstorm. With the entire town gathered, the Liaison's entrance went unnoticed, for everyone's attention remained with a particularly morbid Travarian. "What do we do with him? This boy, nay, this monster!" shouted Headmaster Grant to the gossiping crowd. As the longest resident, Grant was in charge of the refugee center and the self-appointed mayor in town. Despite his persistence, it is the Liaison's responsibility to manage such moments, so in order to gain unbiased intel, the Liaison remained unseen. "This monster," Grant hollered, his cheeks wobbling as he heaved for air. "He is a liability to the refugee center and those within it. Why, the very town itself." "Calm down," warned Nurse Kisa. "What do you expect? The boy is alone, and we all know the others were picking on him." Grant pulled a comb from his pocket and ran it through his greasy red hair as the crowd murmured in agreement. "Kisa, I don't care that he's been alone since the day he was abandoned at that very door," Grant bellowed, gesturing with stubby-hooved fingers towards the entrance. "He's a menace." Before a response could be given, the wind of the passing sandstorm gripped the open front door, slamming it shut. The tall, slender Liaison, wearing standard-issue Galactic Alliance gray and blues, along with a black nano-helmet, was now the center of attention. "Ah, Till, there you are," the Travarian boasted. Till began crossing the entryway through the crowd towards the main hall where Grant and Kisa managed the spectacle. "You know to include my title when on official business, Headmaster," he responded. "Yes, well, Liaison," Grant emphasized sarcastically. "It is you who protects us from the approaching shadow, of which you do an outstanding job, there is no doubt. But when it comes to the villains already in our humble town, I must say, sir, it would seem you are lacking." Till only smiled, continuing to gracefully make his way to the center of the commotion. This gave Grant more time to pander to the crowd. "This creature is a terror on the good people of Resupply. I say, Liaison Till, this is unacceptable. We all know it is our duty to supply the Alliance with cadets for their front lines. It is the only way we hold their favor. And that monster attacked galactic property, using some kind of foul ability. Mark my words, if those four are not ready by the end of year, I will lose my commission. The town's commission." Chuckling to himself, Till could not help but notice when the headmaster shook his tusks in anger, there was a delayed ripple effect starting at his green, chubby face and going all the way down to his dark green stomach and hands. Completing his orbit, Grant released a symphony of grunts, ready to face the Liaison in front of everybody. Instead of responding to Grant's accusations, Till addressed the crowd. "All right, everyone, time to go home. The situation is under control. Don't bother putting the town back together. I imagine by the end of day we'll have some volunteers." Shaking several hands, or what was considered a hand by that species, Till waited for the crowd to disperse before facing the huffing and puffing headmaster. Now, you fat old toad, tell me, what has this monster done to get you so riled up?" As Grant ranted the same accusations, Till couldn't help but glance at Nurse Kisa. He thought about saying something but was at a loss for words. Still not hearing any new or actionable details, Till found his courage and removed his helmet. Hello, Nurse Kisa," he said, clearing his throat. The surprised crack in his voice made Kisa smile, but before she could utter a word, Grant interrupted. "Enough pleasantries! This menace vandalized property and assaulted my top recruits!" The headmaster aggressively closed the distance, his slimy, wart-covered stomach now bumping against Till's pressed uniform. "What are you going to do about this? It makes no sense that someone who not only grew up away from the politics and hierarchy of the Galactic Alliance, but the war entirely, could be so destructive." Till took one big step back, dusting his uniform off before responding. "If any of that is true, then we have a serious situation on our hands. Surely you have substantial evidence for such confident accusations." The headmaster's face dulled as his bulging, beady eyes darted around the room, landing anywhere and everywhere but on the liaison. Well, none so far, but you'll see, Grant admitted while making the massive effort to turn himself back around. Till realized Kisa was already slithering for the offices at the back of the main hall. Seeing them gravitate towards the next room with no explanation left the liaison intrigued. You know, without any evidence, you are wasting my time, for which I'll have to charge you. Receiving no response, Till was forced to follow. Taking in the refugee center, he admired what remained of the starship that brought the town of Resupply to life. The founders salvaged what they could and stabilized the rest with solid beams of space-grade ore, gravity-spun cables, and welds so perfect they seemed to be done by magic. It was clear the refugee center was designed by a master. Every way you looked created a different geometric illusion, making the entire building a work of art. Evidence or no, there is still the matter of this obscene violence. The little beast should be locked in a cage, the headmaster proclaimed. The accompanying sounds emitted from Grant left Till and Kisa holding back laughter. Okay then, Till replied, conquering his desire to laugh. Show me to them. Kisa's office was the only full-service aid station in the quadrant. It was the corner office closest to the center of the main hall and generally had a line waiting at the door. Upon their approach, a conversation could be heard coming from within.
He's a stupid ape,
screeched a voice.
Just a stupid humie whose only ability is to go psycho.
Yeah, he's a psycho, bellowed another.
The only reason he beat us is because we don't use our abilities to hurt animals,
laughed a third. The first two boys joined in laughing, which swiftly changed to an array of winces and gasps. Hearing the blasphemy, Grant's pace doubled. Grunting in rhythm, he waddled past Kisa, not even bothering to use the door's handle. Stomping forward, he crashed into the door, slamming it open with his stomach as he bulged his way through. What is going on in here? Grant shouted after fully squeezing into the room. I hear that you bullied another refugee, Liaison Till said, announcing his approach. Attempting to get beyond the doorway, he was forced to shuffle around the headmaster, who, for some odd reason, remained at the center of the room. With any hope of civilized entry gone, Till pushed past the disagreeing headmaster to survey the scene. He noted 4 boys wearing junior cadet uniforms not so different from his own. 2 sat upright on chairs, while the other 2 were sprawled out on the exam tables. Of the 2 on the tables, one was unconscious and in near critical condition, the bones in his arms facing unnaturally away from his body. The other boy was conscious and seemed to have dislocated ribs and several large lacerations. When a volley of excuses erupted from the 3 boys, Till raised his hand to quiet them. Only the truth. Why did you chase someone through the streets of our peaceful town? Tell me why you participated in wreaking such havoc that I was called from my post to deal with it.
That savage ape attacked us out of nowhere,
squawked one of the sitting boys. The 3 suspects looked at each other for reassurance, but otherwise didn't hesitate in their response. They each told the same story in their own words. They stuck to their claim that the human attacked them, unprovoked, with a small arsenal of rocks and sticks. The story only had merit since the luckiest of them had only one significant injury. The 2 boys lying down had the most severe injuries, which was odd considering that they were also the presumed leaders and strongest of the bunch. Needing to quiet his mind, Till was truly shocked at the damage done to this group of tough-looking junior cadets. By just one being, let alone a human, he thought. As cries, snorts, and squawks blended into a symphony of complaints, it was clear that these boys would say anything to deflect the blame from themselves. While Kisa attended to the hysteria, Grant gently scolded them for even being involved in such actions, regardless of blame. Liaison Till looked at his AAD wrist device, reviewing the files of the boys in front of him, looking for any indicating motive. With the group of boys continuing the hysterics, Till took advantage of the disorder and vanished without anyone noticing. Let's get a good look at what kind of monster is capable of taking down those brats, especially the 2 with high-class manifesting abilities, Till thought as he silently closed the door behind him. Walking past Grant's office towards the conference room where the accused was being held, Till looked towards the dining hall. Met with several sets of hungry, lost eyes, he could tell they were new to the planet and didn't speak the lingo. I wonder if I'll ever have children. Hopefully not anytime soon. This life is just too much to bear at the moment. Till could feel the sorrow of the kids forced to call the refugee center home. Their desperation alone gave an understanding to the results of war between the Shadow and Galactic Alliance. His attention returned to the task at hand. Till knew the humans of Earth were not among the deadliest species one could come across, but nowadays it's hard to tell. This made him curious to see the size and nature of the young boy accused of such savagery. Stepping up to the conference room door, reaching for the handle, Till paused. Not out of fear, but instinct. He could sense a vibrating energy emanating from within. What is this feeling? The presence behind this door is enormous. Almost familiar. Focus, focus. Till regained himself before turning the handle and pushing through the door.